ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaste my dear friends. This is second video on Swami Ram Sukdas is giving wonderful teachings on self-realization. He is advising to undergo spiritual sadhanas, spiritual practices. This video starts with eternal union with God and its realization. Prakriti, nature, and Purusha, soul or spirit, both are said to be without beginning. This is from Gita's chapter 13, stanza 19. Though both of them are beginningless, yet they are distinct in nature. Prakriti is always active, while in Purusha there is no activity at all. This distinction should be understood clearly. In the scriptures, Prakriti is said to have two states, inactive and active. But in fact, the former state is called inactive when it is compared with the active state. Otherwise, activity in its subtle form never ceases. For example, when we perform our daily duties during wakefulness or when we are asleep, the activity in the form of decay of bodies never stops. In sleep also there are three kinds of activity. The first is that our light sleep gradually turns into sound sleep. The second is that by removing our tiredness we are refreshed. The third one is that the body decays and passes towards extinction. This activity of decay naturally goes on constantly from the creation to the dissolution of the universe. Prakriti is said to be inactive when the universe is dissolved. Why is it said to be inactive? It is said to be inactive because there is no creation at that time. In reality, nature never remains inactive. In nature, activity goes on during all states of wakefulness, dream, sleep, unconsciousness, trance, creation, new creation, dissolution, and final dissolution all the time. An activity is going on every moment in all the evolutes of nature, such as minds, intellect, senses, bodies, riches, stars, planets, sun, moon, earth, and oceans, etc. There is a continuous process from birth to death in them, even though they appear steady in the middle. Actually, there is no such steadiness. When we say that water of the Ganges is flowing at the same place where it was flowing yesterday, it does not mean that it is steady at the same place, but it means that it is continuously flowing. Similarly, the bodies and the world are also vanishing continuously, though they seem steady. But God and the self remain uniform without the least activity or change or decay. Had there been any activity in them, they would have not remained uniform but would have changed. Everyone realizes that the self is distinct from every activity of nature. Our activities of today are different from those of boyhood. The body passes through childhood, youth, and old age naturally without making any effort, while I, the self, ever remain the same. We have identified the self with the body. So the activity of the body appears to be the activity of the self. So we say, I am boyish, I am young, I am old, I am sick, I am healthy, etc. Identification of the self with the body is ignorance, and its non identification is wisdom. Lord Krishna declares the knowledge of Akshetra, body, and Akshetra Jana, self is true wisdom. This is my verdict. Gita, chapter 13, stanza number 2. An aspirant should realize the fact that all activities occur in the body only. It is only the body which lives and dies while the self is ageless. Death destroys the body only. All physical activities of the gross body, reflection of the subtle body, and trance of the causal body come under the sway of death, while the self is not subject to death. There is no activity at all in the self. The self stands witness to all activities. He who remains established in the steady self is liberated, while he who is established in the active body is in bondage. Activity and inactivity, in other words, are also called pravrti and nivrti, respectively. Every pravrti is turning into nivrti. During pravrti activity, also, there is an automatic decay towards the end. All activities such as sleeping, awakening, sitting, moving, hearing, speaking are pacing towards extinction. This continuous process of decay is endless. Such process of decay is described in the Gita as the modes of nature are acting on the modes. Chapter 3, stanza 28, and the senses move among the sense objects. Gita chapter 5, stanza 9. We perform activities to gain material objects, but actually there is no gain because they are perishable. For example, wealth is considered to be gained, but actually it is departing. If a person has to remain rich for 50 years and 1 year has passed, now he will not remain rich for 50 years more because 1 year of his richness has passed. Similarly, every activity is departing from us, but our taste for the mundane objects changes this nivrti into pravrti. If this taste is wiped out, we shall realize our eternal union with the Self or God. This eternal union is called Nitya Yoga. All spiritual disciplines aim at this eternal union. In the Gita, Lord Krishna defines it as yoga. 1. Equanimity is called yoga. Chapter 2, stanza 48. And disconnection from contact with pain is known as yoga. Chapter 6, stanza 23. In fact, both the definitions are one and the same. It means that equanimity will lead to disconnection from worldly contact, while discarding relationship with the world will lead to equanimity. This in the scriptures has been called the total extinction of the world along with root ignorance and attainment of the supreme bliss. The main stumbling block to this union is our attraction for mundane objects and actions. These objects and actions are the very forms of nature, Prakriti. If this attraction is wiped out, we shall realize the actionless self. The reason यदा हि नेन्द्रियार्थेषु न कर्मावनुष्यते सर्वसंकल्पना सन्यासी योगारूढ़ि दो उच्यते. When a man ceases to have any attachment for the objects of senses or for actions and has renounced all thoughts of the world, he is said to have attained yoga. This is from Gita chapter 6 stanza 4. The reason is that attraction for the mundane objects is the main obstacle. It is because of this attraction that a man gets interested in performing actions. This performance of action leads us to the sense of doership, which in turn strengthens our identification with the body. If there is no attraction for objects, there will be no inclination of action because an action is performed with a purpose only. How to wipe out this attachment? There are three methods for it. They are the disciplines of action, of knowledge, and of devotion. In the discipline of action, we have to perform actions for the welfare of others without any selfish motive. If we perform all actions with our gross, subtle, and causal bodies for the welfare of others, our attachment for actions and objects will die out. In the disciplines of knowledge, all actions occur in nature and it evolutes. While the self remains totally free from all actions. Yoga strayo maya prokta ranam श्रेयो विधिस्तयस्या ज्ञानम कर्मा च भक्तिश्च नोपायोन्यो सति कुतर्चित. श्री मद्भागवत चैप्टर 11 part 20 stanza 6. There are only three means which lead man to salvation or God realization. They are the disciplines of knowledge, of action, and of devotion. There is a difference between kriya, natural activity, karma, action, and karam yoga, discipline of action. Growth from boyhood to youth and old age is kriya, which involves neither sin nor virtue, neither bondage nor liberation. For example, the flow of Ganges is an activity. The Ganges neither incurs sin if a person is drowned in it, nor does it incur virtue if it is useful for forming. But when a person being attached to an activity becomes a doer, the activity turns into action which bears fruit in the form of bondage. When a person performs an action for the welfare of others without any selfish motive in order to be free from bondage, his action becomes Karam Yoga. Karam Yoga frees a person from bondage. All actions of a man who works for the sake of sacrifices are dissolved. This is from Gita chapter 4 stanza 23. The world is bound by actions other than those performed for the sake of sacrifice. This is from Gita chapter 3 stanza number 9. In the discipline of knowledge, all actions occur in nature and it evolutes, while the self remains totally free from all actions. If we attach importance to this fact, discrimination, our attachment for the mundane will vanish. In the discipline of devotion, all actions are performed for God's pleasure and thus attachment vanishes. Thus, either perform actions for the sake of the world or hold that they occur in nature or perform them for God's sake. Don't associate yourself at all with any action, as by this association you become a doer and or an enjoyer. But if you don't accept this association with actions, Your taste attraction for actions and gains will die out and you will realize your eternal union with God. We have attraction for mundane objects, pleasures and riches, but this contact with them cannot last as they are continuously departing from us. They were neither with us nor will stay with us and are vanishing at present also. This contact with the mundane is transitory and uncertain, while their departure is permanent and inevitable. This contact with the world is full of sorrows and suffering. So the Lord declares the world as the abode of sorrows. This disconnection from contact with pain should be known by the name yoga. This is from Gita chapter 6 stanza 23, and the world is the abode of suffering. This is from Gita chapter 8 stanza 15. The reason is that every kind of association ends in separation and separation leads to sorrows. This is a common experience. If we renounce the desire for mundane contacts, we shall not feel sad in separation. The desire for contact is the abode of sufferings. Now the question arises why there is desire for contact. The answer is that when we enjoy contact born pleasures, they leave their impression in the form of latent desire. This desire is aroused when the objects of pleasure appear before us. So the Lord declares the pleasures that are born of contacts with objects are only source of pain. They are transitory. No wise man relishes them. This is from Gita chapter 5 stanza 22. Separation from contact born pleasures is inevitable. So the desire to relish them will certainly lead to misery. Actually, all material objects and actions are continuously deserting the self which has assumed contact with them. This desertion is not to be made, it is automatic. During the period of contact, if we realize their spontaneous desertion, the desire for contact will vanish. As soon as this desire vanishes, there is self realization without making any other effort. The reason is that yoga self realization is spontaneous, it remains intact in all states awakening, dream, sleep, unconsciousness, trance, and even in creation, dissolution, new creation, and final dissolution. It is called Nitya Yoga, eternal union, because it remains constant and the same everywhere, every time, in all objects, circumstances, conditions, and incidents, etc. Either renounce the desire for mundane which is constantly leaving you and you will attain yoga, God realization, or get established in the divinity and you will realize yoga and there will be total detachment from the world. If you stick to either of the two, you will get detached from the world and get established in the Lord. There is one vital point in it that you have to separate the self from the mundane which is already distinct from you self and which is always departing from you. While you have to attain him who is ever attained, we have to be separate from the world from which we are ever separate and we have to attain God who is ever attained at all to all. It means that detachment from the world and eternal union with God are not the product of efforts, they are axiomatic and natural. The only need is to smash desire. Therefore, either smash your desire for the world or realize your eternal union with God, which existed in the past, which will remain in future, and which is at present also. You will attain Him. We keep away from God due to our attachment to materialistic objects or worldly things. If we have more worldly desire, we move away from God. So, to realize God, we have to leave all the worldly desire and we have to detach ourselves from the materialistic objects. More we go towards the materialistic objects, we move away from God. So, detachment is most important. That is, vairagya is most important for realization of God. So, at this point, I complete this video, and this next video, third video, I will start with the topic God is one's own. That means God is ourself. Thank you for watching this video. Namaskar, my dear friends. Thank you. Namaste.